Going back to December, we... Hey, Douglas, time for tomorrow? We'll think, as long as Ryan's here, we'll talk about it later. But I might delete the service based on my Torah reading.
Good Shabbos, everybody. I'm glad to see you all. Shabbat Shalom, how are you? Glad to see you. Hello. Shabbat Shalom. How are you? Glad to see you.
Streaming service. Yes.
So you get.
We're good, we're good.
Okay. Just wanna be- Explain the service. Thank you. Okay, and then you'll instruct me on the
I'm just gonna light the candles. You wanna light Enosh first and then light the candles. I'll light the candles.
Candles, and we're gonna go into the Shabbat candle blessing. Okay.
Shabbat Shalom. You may be seated. Our first piece on Yom HaShoah, commemoration, of course, is Enosh. Tonight, as we commemorate probably one of history's biggest disaster to our own people, Yom HaShoah, we also realize that it is Shabbat. And even though it is Shabbat, we do commemorate those who are no longer with us. And at this point, before we light the Shabbat candles, we will be lighting 6 yahrzeit candles, which the rabbi will do momentarily, before we light the Shabbat candles, so that we remember all of those who are no longer with us. Every family member somehow, some way, distantly or not, was affected by the Shoah. I now ask the rabbi to light the candles, please.
What I'd like to do, I want to invite up the children of survivors and those who were born in Europe to please come up, if you feel comfortable.
Please, we ask that you come forward tonight.
We don't need to sit, if you feel comfortable.
We ask that you please come forward.
Significant others too, because we want to give you the
And if we
mitzvah.
have a young child who would like to come up with your parents, we would be more than happy to have that also. Please. After all, you are the next generation. You will light the last candle.
On Shabbat, we light 2 candles to remember and to protect. Tonight is 3, we remember, but now we're going to go to the other side of the bima, all of us, and we're going to celebrate the joy of
Transition into
Shabbat. Eli, go ahead and light. $120.
Baruch Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lechad likneh shel Shabbat.
For those who are able, we rise together for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'chavuraton hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila למיקרא אל קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים. Please join us. כיוונו Baruch atah Adonai Mikadesh HaShabbat.
We turn to 124 as we read together 124. We entered the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured, a beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we in our turn come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. Weariness, doubt, the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak, let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our heart in prayer. We turn to page 133, Psalm 98.
Oh
Staccato D 138. We rise together to greet Shabbat HaMelkah. We turn to the middle of page 140 with Tzaddik Katamar. We continue together the English, the bottom page 145. And please join me. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a livered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue with our Chetzi Kaddish right there, 144.
וחיי דכל בית ישראל. ואם דרו יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל שמי דקודשה לעילם מכל ברכתה ושירתה. ואם דרו
The top of page 147, we read together. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nevarech, let us bless, for those who are able, our Baruch Hu, 146. We rise. The bottom page 148, in English we read together. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name, ever-living God. May you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch atah Adonai, Hamariv Aravim. We continue with Avat Olam 150.
Thank you.
Arvea Hafta 154, and please join us.
ובכל מאותיך, וחיו הדברים האלה, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושינתן לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך וביתך, ובלתך בדרך, ושבתך ובקומך, וקשתם לאות על ידיך, היו לטוטפות בין עיניך, ובטפתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem Emet.
And we read the translation together at the bottom of page 154. You shall love Adonai your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. Take to heart these instructions with which I charge you this day. Impress them upon your children. Recite them when you stay at home and when you are away, when you lie down and when you get up. Bind them as a sign on your hand, and let them serve as a symbol on your forehead. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Thus you shall remember to observe all my commandments and to be holy to your God. I am Adonai your God, who brought you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Adonai your God. We continue again in English, the top of page 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. A song of freedom, a song of redemption, or Michamocha 158. The top of page 161, we continue together. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts. Though we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will, a prayer that gives us strength at night, our Hashkivenu, right there, 160.
Adonai Shalom me'ata ve'ad olam ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha baruch atah Adonai Haporei sukat shalom aleinu ve'akol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim.
The top of page 163, we continue together. We are people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. Vishamru is right there, 162.
לעשות את השבת. ביני ובין בני ישראל ביני ובני בני ישראל
For those who are able, we rise together for our tefillah 166.
Elohim
החול. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יעלו מעשיך. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated. At the top of page 179, we read the words of peace together. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace. Give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. May contentment reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace. We take a few moments for silent prayer. At this moment in our service, we think of those in our community, those who are in need of healing of body or spirits. Temple Emanu-El, we are thinking of Barbara Edelman, Linda Applebaum, Sophia Berry, Katie Bates, Donna Berman, Andrea Bridges, Harold Seitlin, Orit Cohen, Lydia Cutler, Jerry Davis, Carol Epstein, Jerry Fields, Brenda Friedman, Edward Goldberg, Miriam Goldstein, Josie Hatfield, Bart Kolber, Sharon Lahan, Jeffrey Lemberger, Elizabeth Maxwell, Zane Mondlik, Ron Ostreicher, Chad Petrosky, Mark Petrosky, Maka Bat Rachel, Aaron Richard, Leslie Simon, Steve Spielberger, Chrissy St. Charles, Don St. Charles, and Brenda Weinstein. For those who are here with us and you're thinking of a loved one, a friend, and you wish to share a name out loud, we invite you to rise as my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, our prayer for healing or Misha Berach, 371.
Continue with Ayla Escara, I Recall Thee.
Oh
Shabbat Shalom. I would like to share with you 3 dilemmas that I have. The most exciting thing I can tell you is that 3 weeks from tonight, I will be turning 60 years old. And as I get older, I start wondering what will become of me and what will become of my possessions. Recently, I went through a binder that has a bunch of letters, 20 to be exact. And in these letters, which originated from my grandparents, my father's parents, they ranged from 1940 to 1942. Some of you know my story. My father was on a Kindertransport, a children's transport, left August 23rd, 1939, 1 week before the beginning of World War II. And his parents were in Mannheim, Germany, and were transported by train October 22nd, 1940, to the French country in a camp called Gurs. And for 2 years, while my father was in England, from 1940 to 1942, he received letters. And as I read these letters, there's more desperation and more of an outcry for help. And of course, the last letter, which was received on August 30th, stated that they just took my grandmother away on a transport of 7,560 people to the east. But he did not know where. And he wrote in his letter that hopefully he will soon be with Mother. Well, of course, you and I know that that did not happen. But my dilemma is, what should I do with these letters? The question is, do I give it to my family? Or do I give it to Yad Vashem? My mother's parents, who I did know, had an expression. Es bleibt alles in die Familie. It all stays in the family. But what do you do when your cousins are not interested in this and their children are not interested in this? I had a discussion with my cousin about this, and he said, look, Ralph, my children are so removed from this, and the truth of the matter is they can't read the old German, even though I had it translated. Give it to Yad Vashem. But deep down, I know that I can't give it to Yad Vashem while I'm still alive, because it's the only thing, tangible evidence, other than a few photos, that I have of my grandparents and a timeline that they lived. Which brings me to my next dilemma. Do I go and follow the footsteps, trace their last steps, all the way to Auschwitz? I can tell you that if I go to Auschwitz, as Elie Wiesel said, it's the largest cemetery in the world, largest Jewish cemetery. I know one thing. You will never see me in a synagogue again. That's how painful it is to me. But yet I have a yearning to do it. And I must tell you that the first time I ever went to Germany to do a Kristallnacht commemoration service in Munich, Germany, of all places, I decided, because it was sponsored by the mayor of Dachau, who was 53 years old at the time, to go to the Dachau concentration camp. I made it as far as the entrance, but I could not get myself to go in. And the reason I couldn't get myself to go in was because opposite the entrance of Dachau was a McDonald's. And that absolutely infuriated me. So I decided that I would walk around the perimeters of Dachau. For those of you who've never been to a concentration camp or to Dachau, there was only one way in and two ways out. Walking the perimeter, there were two walls, 12 feet high, 6 feet apart. And if you think you could climb over the walls and try again, on top of the wall was electric barbed wire. So there was no way out. And for me to go in was just not what I really could get myself to do. That is my second dilemma. And my third dilemma is a little bit more of a positive note. And that is, for those of you who don't know me, I am the music scholar in residence here, and I'm very grateful for that, because in a way, I can keep a tradition alive and educate people, not only throughout the world, but here, and people have been very receptive. And so is Cantor Robbie Whitner. But I have a massive music collection. A collection of music from places that exist but have no shuls, have very few Jews, if any. And the question is, what do I do with this? Who do I give it to? If I give it to a library, it'll sit on the shelves. If I give it to a cantor, hopefully, they will be able to preserve somewhat of a tradition, or better yet, remind people that this was once a tradition. But I am also very torn on this too, because I still can't let loose of my collection, because it's so much a part of me, just like the letters are, and just like I think of my grandparents and my parents every day, because in my home facing east, I have photos of all my descendants from my great-great-grandparents. And every day I look at them and I think of them, and I try and remember them. I saw an interesting license plate when I came the other day, and it said the word Bible on it. And the Bible now has a new meaning for me, because B-I-B-L-E stands for the following: basic instructions before leaving Earth. And I was thinking, wow, that's another dilemma. Who am I going to leave these instructions to? And when I do, will they really follow in the footsteps of my neshama? I would like you to take a moment, please, to open our Siddur, our prayer books, please. Take out your prayer books. And we are going to page 533 to read together.
Please rise.
Hold on one second, please. I made a little mistake. I want to go to page 583 first. That didn't happen there. Sorry. Page 583, please. Please recite this with me together. In the rising of the sun and its going down, we remember them. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we remember them. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we remember them. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we remember them. In the rustling of the leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we remember them. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we remember them. When we are weary and in need of strength, we remember them. When we are lost and sick at heart, we remember them. When we have joys we yearn to share, we remember them. So long as they live, we too shall live, for they are now a part of us as we remember them. We please turn to page 533. We are going to do what we call the Martyrology Kaddish. As you can see the Hebrew, you can see the camps. It would be very nice if you all join me in reading of the camps. The choir will sing the Martyrology Kaddish. Please, please join us. Gadal Auschwitz, Bit Kaktash Lotz, Shreira Bahonar, Bialma Divrahute, Babiyar, Majdanek, Birkenau, Kovno, Yarliska, Theresienstadt, Buchenwald, Treblinka, Vilna, Bergen-Belsen, Leila Mattenhausen, Dachau, Minsk, Warschau, Yehi Shlama Rabba Mim Shemaya, V'chayim Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael, V'Imvaru Amen, Oseh Shalom B'Imromav, Hu Ya'aseh Shalom, Aleinu V'Akol Yisrael, V'Imvaru Amen.
As we remember Yom HaShoah, we are still obligated to count the Omer. Normally at this moment, we would engage in esoteric trivia to find some humor in life's challenges. But when we are in need of strength, we often turn to a Tehillim, the book of Psalms. We read Psalms during Shabbat, and when people are ill, we often read Psalms that give us strength. Tonight we count 16, and I decided that Psalm 16 would be an honorable way to count the Omer. But what's interesting and somewhat difficult, and perhaps frustrating, is that the majority of Psalms starts Tefillah Davida, a prayer for David, Mizbor LeDavid, a song for David, but verse 16, Michtam. Elizabeth Yaakov, I'm going to put you on the spot. Do we have a translation for Michtam in Ivrit Moderni? Michtam. Michtam. What do you think? Seal? Like Hatima? Michtam. The Hebrew is untranslatable. If you were to look in a English translation of the Chumash, it says, normally it's a song of David, a prayer for David. It says a michtam of David. You look at the footnotes, meaning of Hebrew uncertain. And for Dr. Seelig and for those who survived the Shoah, their descendants, it's still maddening that such a thing ever happened. And how fitting it is that the psalm on the 16th night of the Omer is Miktam, meaning uncertain. To question and not know. Some people talked about that during the Shoah that God's face was hidden, the Hester Panim. But on the other hand, as we have documents, we have written documents from prisoners of Auschwitz who experienced the presence of God through one's love towards another human being. Giving extra rations, sneaking a blanket, trying to find the essence of God during their worst nightmare. And for many years, we've tried to process the Holocaust. There's no perfect answer. I know we have we don't forget, let us remember, but it's still michtam. And therefore, for the victims and the families, I want to read part of Psalm 16, that rather than us giving us something uncertain, it gives us that strength. I'm ever mindful of Hashem's presence. He is at my right hand, and I shall never be shaken. So my heart rejoices, my whole being exults, my body rests secure. You'll teach me the path of life, and your presence is perfect joy. Delights are ever in your right hand. We rise once more. We turn to page 570. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kishanu mitzosav tzivano sivrat haomer hayom shisha aser yom shehem shnei shavaot u'shnei yamim la'omer. Today is 16 days, which is 2 weeks and 2 days of the Omer. Aleinu 586.
Shelo
596. We have lived in numberless towns and villages, and in too many of them we have endured cruel suffering. Some we have forgotten, others are sealed in our memory, a wound that does not heal. 100 generations of victims and martyrs, still their blood cries out from the earth, and so many at Dachau, at Buchenwald, and Babi Yar. What can we say? What can we do? How bear the unbearable or accept what life has brought to our people? All who are born must die, but how shall we compare the slow passage of time with the callous slaughter of the innocent cut off before their time? They live with faith, not all but many, and surely many died with faith in God, in life, and in the goodness that even flames cannot destroy. May we find a way to strength of that faith, that trust, that sure sense that life of soul endure beyond this body's death. They have left their lives to us. Let a million prayers rise whenever Jews worship. Let a million candles glow against the darkness of these unfinished lives. On this Shabbat, on this Yom HaShoah, we recall the yortzites of Isaac Abelson, Sarah M. Black, Walter Isaac Block, Henry W. Blutman, Anne Rosenberg Brody, Miriam Bromberg, Steve Browdy, Sophie Kaplan, Stephen Christopherson, Bonnie Clausen, Jay Cohen, Artrezi Diane Cook, Francis Copeland, Prue Thomas Cohen Jr., Loretta Moncristol, Preston Edwards, Nettie Mae Elkis, Louis A. Estrak, Sophie Fox, Sidney J. Friedman, Max Joseph Gerson, Alvin Goldberg, Arlene Lipson Goldberg, Ida Goldberg, Solomon Goldberg, Alan M. Goldblatt, Fred Goldstein, Betty Cohen Goldstein, Seaboard Goodman, Joseph Hagedorn, Renee Jameson, Meyer Heyman, Pauline Kravitz, Isaac Ben Krensman, Hugo Kuhn, Israel Landau, Benjamin Leader, Harley Meisler, Lil Mendel, Mary Ofson, Edward Schulman, Harold Schwab, Deborah Seitel, Sandra Seaton, Bessie Schiller, Anit Silverstein, Edgar K. Simon, Lawrence Warner, Ida Schultz Webster, Sylvia Shapiro Weinstein, Bernard Barrel Weitrack, and Benny Witt. Our health and condolences in the recent passings of Stanley Brenner, father of David, Doris Gottlieb Goldfarb, sister-in-law of Joanna Collette, Rhoda G. Kaplan, mother of Karen, Mark, and Ken. May all their memories forever be a blessing. We rise together as United Congregation, or Mortars Cottage 598. Yikadal Vikadash Shemei Rabbah, Biomad Divrach Rote Vamlich Malchute, Bachayachon of Yomechon, Uchayet the cold Beit Yisrael, Baga La Wizman Kari V'Yamru, Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach V'Olam Alamei Almaya, Yiparach V'Yishabach, Hiparard, Hitromam, Hitnasei, Vita Dar, Vita Le, Vita La, Shmei Dekucha, La'ela Min Kol Birchata V'Shirata, Tushbechata V'Nechamata, Damin Ram V'Yoma V'Yamru, Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya, V'Chaim Aleinu V'Yalkol Yisrael V'Yamru, Osei Shalom Mimromav, Huya Sei Shalom, Aleinu V'Yalkol Yisrael V'Yamru, Amen.
may be seated. I just want to take a moment to thank a few people for making this all happen. First and foremost, I'd like to thank our organist and music director, Mr. Jeffrey McClellan, for everything, his help, his participation. I also would like to thank our choir, Melanie Williams, Beth Middleton, Emily Jaworski-Kraith, Gloria Parvin, Craig Brandwine, Stanley Nelson, Richard Stump, and Bert Pitts. Services tomorrow are at 10 o'clock. Next Friday night will be a much happier occasion. It will be Yom Ha'atzmaut. We will be celebrating the independence of Israel. We certainly hope that you will come. It'll be like a little bit of Simchat Torah. We'll be dancing in the aisles, and hopefully you will come and sing along. With flags, correct. I do want to take one moment personally to thank Rabbi Adam Wright for thanking you for allowing me to lead services with you. I hope it's a one-in-a-lifetime memory, but I certainly enjoyed doing it, and Cantor Whitner will be back Saturday in a week. Most of all, remember what I'm really all about. 3 things plus 1: teshuvah, tefillah, tzedakah, but most importantly, tikkun olam, the idea of repairing the world and trying to make it a better place. We are going to end with Adon Olam from Rabbi David Aaron de Solapool. This was written back in the 1820s. I'm sure you've heard this melody because it was imported here to the United States. Shabbat Shalom. Please join us in Adon Olam.